Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. I really appreciate it. I know you have a busy schedule and taking the time out for our audience. I really, really appreciate it. So how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to listen to your story or your experiences and the journey you had with your life. And quite inspiring, you messaged me on the social media platform, and that really touched me. And I can't wait to hear from you more details about your story. So tell us about where you come from before you become a songwriter, vocalist, and get into jazz music. So tell us where you used to be from your beginning of age.
So my parents are Indian, and they moved here. My dad's a doctor, so he came here for training, studying. And I got two older sisters as well, but they were born in India. But he decided he got work here in 1980. So I was born then, and then we decided to stay in the UK. So I am a British Asian born.
Yeah.
I was born in the UK. Yeah, I was born in Wales. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you've been living in Wales for ever since you born.
Yeah, I have actually. A different part, but yeah.
That's interesting. So obviously, how's your a childhood like? How did you grow up? I know as a typical Asian family is growing up, everyone got the expectation since you're coming from a background of your dad isn't being doctor, so there is expectation to become a doctor, engineer, something like that is always there in Asian culture. So tell us about, did you have that pressure, or how was your upbringing at the early childhood?
My dad actually really wanted to be a surgeon, but what happened was he had an accident, and his left hand, it left him with damaged nerves, so the nerves kept shaking, so he wasn't able to do that. But so then he became a GP, but it was the best thing because he was a single-handed practitioner, and he created his own surgery, and he had I think he had more success being a GP, I think, because it was a community thing, and everyone knew him. And then everywhere I used to go, they're like, "Oh, Dr. Sinha, we know your dad." I was like, "All right, he's my patient." I was like, "All right, sorry, he's my doctor." So I was like, "Okay, right." But on us, I think for my older sisters, maybe there was pressure because being the eldest, but my eldest became a lawyer, and then my middle sister, she's a nurse, but she's gone through quite a few number of careers, from journalist, neuroscience journalist, and now she's a nurse. But then when it got to me, I think because I had so many disabilities, there was absolutely no pressure on me whatsoever, which it's a good side, but then it had its downsides, because then I really didn't know what to do then. So it can have that kind of effect when nobody's putting any expectations on you, so to speak.
I know. So you had the easy going on career-wise. So how did you get into music then? Is any one of your family members in a music, or it's completely come from a different background?
No, we were a musical family, and my mum, she used to sing and play the sitar when she was younger. So we just had a musical household, and all three of us sung when we were here, and we wanted to make a girl group, but I think our personalities were a bit too strong. And we used to do, I remember studying violin when I was very young, and piano, and singing. So we were musical from the get-go. And my actual first singing on stage experience was my older sister put me and my other sister in a talent competition, and we actually got through to the heats. And it was my middle sister, actually, Millie. She was the actor one, the singing, the one that was adorable. She had a lot of confidence. So if anything, she was the one that we saw would go onto musical theater. It wasn't to be, but I came from that kind of a background.
Then totally makes sense, because if you're coming from a doctor family to become a musician is a different career path. So there is something someone's have to be in their path, so guiding you through, because coming from your background. So what age you started in the music? What made you interested getting to being a professional into it? Because I know you said you were more into it, but sometimes it's not always the case I want to be become a professional. Sometimes you do for a hobby, here and there with your family or friends. But what age you started singing and decided to go into a professional?
Well, I didn't know that you could do that. I mean, growing up, I thought you could either be a pop singer or that was it, because that's what I saw. So like I used to love Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. So my dream was to be a pop singer. And I thought if you can't do that, then there's no avenue to music. But then when I was 16, I went to, it's called Sinha College, to do my A-levels, and their music department was amazing. And I kind of said that I love jazz. My voice, even though I was classically trained, I love jazz. And they kind of pushed me to pursue that kind of type of genre. And then they also encouraged me to audition for music college, which I didn't even, I knew about it, but I didn't even consider it until they told me about it. And then I thought, oh, all right, okay. So then when I got to music college, then that's when it all kind of started to come together that I could do this for a career.
Yeah. How old were you that time?
I was
16,
what
18?
I was 17 when they kind of pushed me into the music college genre, because up until that point I thought maybe I'd go to university to study music, but not study the practical side of music, rather than because university you studying music degree, it's an all-rounder, but mostly it's the theory stuff and the writing, whereas music college it's performance based, and that's what I wanted. And it was a great time.
That's great. So like from here then, like did you start doing your albums or all that, or like it took some time to become a professional and getting into them kind of gigs?
Well, because during when I was in Sinha College, we used to perform a lot. So we would do things for the Friends of the Welsh National Opera. We'd be like pushed into going to all of these different performances. And we also went for like a summer trip to Ireland, where we performed there as well. So I was kind of doing it at that point. But then when I went to Leeds Music College, they then got us into performing in different areas, in clubs and bars at the college. So I was doing it probably from some time. And I remember when I was 16, 17, I used to go to open mic nights in the local pub, and my friends always used to come see me. So I've been performing with live musicians probably since I was like 16. So I've been doing it for quite a fair number of years.
That's a great experience. So how long have you been singing right now, professionally, altogether?
Professionally, like you're getting paid for it. So I guess probably since I was in music college, when I started bands, and then so it's been 20 years. Time goes really quickly. So about
20 years, long time.
Long time.
So like you recently got a label and things like with your New York, you said. New York company, something like that. When that happened? Recently or in past?
So what happened was, so I was singing, say, for about 10 years. And then it was getting a little bit frustrating because nothing was happening. And because of my disabilities, I was a bit restricted in what I could do and where I could go. So the frustration kind of set in. So I thought, all right, what am I going to do? So I decided to write a song. And then when I get something into my head, I kind of pursue it and I go full throttle. I'm going to give it everything I've got. So I wrote one song, and then I thought, well, why stop at that? I'm going to write an album. So within a matter of a few weeks, I wrote, from writing like no songs whatsoever that my whole life, to writing 9 songs.
Wow.
And then looking to make that into an album, record it, and then release it. So that is what I did. I got a band together. I recorded it, I released it, I put it on iTunes, put it everywhere. And then what happened was the dawn, I want to say the dawn of social media, but it wasn't. It was because it was like we had MySpace, in the early 2000s. So that was my first social media platform. I know. But it was really just starting to take off, and YouTube was starting to take off. So, and I think Instagram, I'd got into Instagram and I uploaded about 30 seconds of my singing and put it on Facebook. And this guy from New York saw it, and he was creating a label, and he was a flautist, and I think he played the saxophone or the clarinet. And he was like, Amy, I really love your voice. Do you want to collaborate on a few singles. So I was like, all right, okay, cool. So I managed to do it from Swansea. So I went into a studio and, I did the vocals, and then he did the instruments from there, and we kind of collaborated on that way. But again, that kind of raised the bar a bit, because then people from here, when you do things internationally, then you get noticed. And so then people notice then that here I got a full spread in like the South Wales Evening Post, which is really cool because my face was on the front page, which I've always wanted to happen.
That's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's a great achievement, to be honest. And so I want to know like your story, and obviously our audience is the most important part. You mentioned about your disability. What kind of disability is this, and what age this got started, or is it you born with it? Can you explain a little bit about it? And I'd love to hear.
So it was happened when I was young. So at 1 year old, I was found I had cataracts because there was white in my eyes and I couldn't see. So I had a cataract operation, and they thought I'd go blind. So I was in India at the time when they diagnosed it. But luckily we came here, and an amazing doctor in Wales, and he managed to save a little bit of my eyesight. But then since then I had to wear these really, really thick glasses tied with string because they'd come off. So that was the start. And then around age 4, I realized that I was burning myself and hurting. I would scrape and scratch my face. And then I was diagnosed with it was a very rare syndrome called sensory neuropathy type 2, which means that I can't feel hot, cold, or superficial pain, meaning that I don't know when I've cut myself until it's infected or I see the blood.
So no feelings at all on your body, right?
No, only in my mouth, which I am really thankful for, because that means I can drink hot things and I know if it's hot. So I have to be thankful for that. But no, I can't feel hot or cold anywhere in my body, or pain. So a feather, I can't feel when a feather kind of touches my skin. So that was difficult. But in that disorder, it also meant that I developed something called Charcot joints, which is the equivalent of osteoarthritis. And then when the doctors saw that happening, they didn't know much about it. So I used to blame them. I'm not going to lie, but I look back and think they didn't know. They had no experience with children having that kind of an illness. So their advice was to stop doing any exercise. And up until that point, I was very active. So I was on my bike, I was roller skating. When they said that, then I stopped everything. And then by the time I was 12, 13, I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I couldn't standing was like epic. It was difficult. It was
like
really difficult.
Paralyzed your body or something?
It wasn't paralyzed because I could feel it. And that's a good, I mean, I'm not putting away from paralyzed. It'd be absolutely awful to be paralyzed, but I was in so much pain. Moving, it was just I just didn't want to be in my body because it hurt so much. But then also with that, it affected my spine. So then I stopped growing at 11. So then I was short. So all of this happened when I was quite young, and it's been a lot to deal with as you're a teenager. It's hard to navigate. And I was a singer as well, and it was just, I don't say the word difficult so much, but it was difficult. Every day was just so difficult, and just the head, just the mind, just going through that on a daily basis. I just did not want to be who I was. It was just so hard.
Was there any medication like you were taking on doctor figured out like they can do something about it?
No,
like, how
no medication.
Nothing.
No medication. All I could, if I was feeling it, I would have paracetamol, and that was it.
So even though still there is no medication, they couldn't figure it out.
No, still there's not. No, I'm up from paracetamol, cocodamol whenever I feel the need for it. But no, I mean, I think there is medication out there. I'm just not taking it.
Right. So even though with the medication, is there treatable the condition or not? No. It's just like keeping it a little bit calm rather than getting worse type of thing.
Well, I've had to kind of, sometimes it gets bad. I've had it where it's been flared. My joints have really flared up and I couldn't walk at all, and I was in pain. I had to take antibiotics, but I've kind of, as I've gotten older, it has become better slightly. The pain, I mean, it's always there, but it's bearable. And I think maybe just gentle exercise I've learned to do kind of like every morning, just to kind of just kind of like just stretch a little bit. And I do find that helps then when I wake up in the morning. The problem is the doctors don't know about this illness. They especially the young doctors, they have never heard of it. They don't even know it exists. Some of them probably don't even believe that I actually go through it. I've had, they just don't believe it because they don't see it. So that's been difficult in itself. But then I've kind of started to like, well, you know what, people don't need to believe me. It doesn't really matter if they do or don't. But it's just, I have to go through it. So
I heard of them conditions, or probably watched or some kind of like a US program or something. Someone can feel their skin and body, things like that, but not in a real life. I never heard of anyone actually having it. So it's a difficult thing, even though sometimes we got pins and needles on our legs or arms sometimes, and it can, I don't know how to explain it. We feel like it's so much irritating and going through like a whole body. It's like unexplainable, like what you're going through. So is there, your condition is getting a little bit slightly better than what we used to be like when you're teenage age or like early age?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I mean the arthritis more than anything. I mean the other stuff I have to live with. It's the same as it was, but the arthritis and the walking, I can walk a bit more than I used to. But again, it's a continuous. I can't just, if I sit down for too long, then I become stiff again, and I find walking really difficult. So it's on me. It's on me to keep doing things and be active and not end up in a wheelchair. Otherwise, that will happen. So I have to do everything I can not to let that happen.
Yeah, you have to look after yourself in this kind of situation and always be like follow the steps you need to be doing in order to get going. How about your eyesight? Is it gone better or from your childhood?
No, it's kind of the same. I wear contact lenses right now, so that's been a lifesaver because I started wearing it at the age of 10, and that did change. It changed things for me. Although I couldn't put it myself because they were so small and thin, and I kept dropping them, and they were very expensive lenses because of my prescription. So my mum had to do it for quite some time, but then when I went away to university, I had to learn to do it myself. So it's been a progress. I've been probably a bit slow for my age growing up, but it's because I've had to just navigate so many things, and certain things just haven't felt like I needed to do it at the time until I really needed to do it, and then kind of had to.
It's an inspiring story. Like I want to learn more about you, how you've been through all of them, going through a disability and having the illnesses, and overcome all of them obstacles you had and achieving where you are at the moment. So tell us a little bit about like your school life with your disability. Did you manage to go like a normal school or like any special school or being homeschooled? How's the school life like with the condition you had?
Well, I didn't. I think I didn't go to nursery because of my eyesight. So I think my first school years was reception. I think I was 4. I struggled because I was really shy. So, but I was lucky that my older sister, I mean, she's 2 years older than me, and she was there, so she could look after me. But I did struggle with schoolwork and reading. I never used to like to read, so I was a bit slow when it came to kind of academic things. I did go to a normal school for primary, and they did help. I used to have people come in and help me. And then when I got to 11, I went to a private school because it was smaller, and they could kind of cater for my needs. So I could get around, and they make things into big print so I could see. So I did have kind of an advantage. My parents did kind of put me in a private school to help me out. So I was lucky at that point.
How were like your classmates and teacher take on to like your condition? Did you have to go through any kind of struggle, like a bullying or anything like that, or like there was accepting you as who you are? How's it like?
I think probably like any child, you know what, if you have whether you have something or not, you're probably going to get bullied at some point. The fact that I was Indian in a white, I guess, almost
community.
white. Yeah. But yeah, that was hard as well. I didn't feel it as much as my older sisters, but I think it was hard again to navigate everything. So there's just so much to, I guess, to go through. I kind of think back and I don't know how I actually went through it all. If I think I hadn't really thought about it, but if you think about it and cultural differences, and then being a teenager, wanting to go out and go clubbing, but coming from an Indian background, I mean, that's kind of hard in itself. I was just grateful that I did have two older sisters that kind of went first and kind of helped me out on everything. So I am grateful, very grateful for them.
Yeah, that's great. Like in terms of like your family wise, like, yeah, I can hear you, like from the sending to primary school, they did their best. So did you get all of the support you needed from your family and friends from home, like educational wise and your career wise?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had what there was. So there could have been more, don't get me wrong, but then again, every school has its faults. No school is perfect, whether you go to comprehensive school or private school. There wasn't music at that time, so I couldn't do GCSE music. Academics, don't get me wrong, I was intelligent. I could do it because I would test myself. So I would get 100% in certain tests, and then I was like, well, I've done that now, so I don't need to try. And because no one was pushing me, it was I had nothing to prove, but I proved it to myself. So I didn't get the best grades because I didn't study, and that's on me. That's my thing. But then, but I think everything happened for a reason, and that school was there when I needed it, and then when I'd done with it, I left and I went to a tertiary college, and then that was the most amazing time. That was the best thing that I could have ever done, because one of the subjects I wanted to do, music, I really got into it. There were amazing people there, and I met my best friends who I'm still friends with now 25 years later. So in all kind of areas, it kind of it's like a progress. And then I was really shy, so I came out of myself in Gassinan College, and that was the start of who I am now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to know like your mindset was like doing something and achieving something. You don't want to be a victim of like your condition and going out there and prove to yourself. I know you didn't have any kind of pressure from your friends and family, because you wanted to prove yourself, like I'm capable of doing something and do something better with my life. What was the mindset like? I want to know.
I think because there was no pressure from anybody else, there was pressure from myself. And unfortunately, that's probably the worst pressure, because when you're a singer, you're a creative person, and I'm bear in mind, because I have all this disability, so money wise, I've been taken care of. So it wasn't I wasn't doing things for the money, so the money wasn't a motivation. So then I have to find another motivation, and that in itself was hard, because I was like, okay, well, what's my motivation? All right, so I'd give myself a goal. And then it was an unreachable goal, which I knew. But then when I didn't reach that goal, I would get depressed and I would berate myself going, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I can't do these things because I didn't reach that goal.
Achieved,
So, and that's happening. I realized that has been happening probably up until a year ago, that I would do that, set goals, not reach them, beat myself about them, So I think pressure wise, it's my own mind, my own self. It's easy to say when somebody has pressure on you, oh, it's because of them, and you have somebody to blame. But when you have nobody to blame, then what are you going to do? Exactly.
You lose your self-confidence a little bit, isn't it? So in terms of like a goal setting, what do you do actually right now? Do you still set goals, or like go with the flow?
I set goals and I go with the flow. So I set easy to reach target goals. So maybe in a day, so I'll meet a few new people in a day, or I'll learn something or read a few chapters of a book, rather than I'm going to read a whole book in a couple of days, which used to be my, I'm going to get through like a couple of books in a week. Kind of there was like books that goals that I would set. So now they're kind of realistic, or I will probably do 20 auditions. I get quite a lot of auditions coming through, so I will do 20 auditions a day. And then there was a time that I was doing 40, and then by the end of that week, my voice had gone. So I was like, all right, okay, can't do that. So it's goals that I know I can obtain. And if I don't, then I'm not going to feel bad, because I know that I will do it, and it's okay. So yeah, attainable goals. And I think this is the problem with a lot of us. We've set goals that we know we just can't get to in a certain amount of time. And then we kind of give ourselves a hard time and get depressed over it. And
like we create like unrealistic goals. Having a vision is great, like you know where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years time, but like a goal supposed to be where you've been from a past, and according to that, like where you can be, rather than like imagine you want to be number one in the chart of like a singing wise, and everywhere in the world you'll be like a Beyonce or something. Probably not going to be possible within a month. It could be possible within like a 10 years time, 15 years time. But if you have like that kind of a dream and going towards it, then end of the day you'll be like disappointed, or like I'm not good enough, I'm not doing something like that. So how you like right now, how you setting your goals? Like small tasks? Do you have a weekly goals, daily goals, or do you have like a big picture goals?
Big picture. I've stopped doing the big picture. Because I know what it's like when I was young, and obviously it was just awful. And I just couldn't see any way. I couldn't see a future. I would dream of, oh, wouldn't this be nice? But realistically, nobody thought I'd go to university. Nobody thought I'd get a degree and things like that. And so I didn't think it myself. So I used to daydream a lot. And I feel I wasted a lot of my time in the future rather than appreciating what my life was like at that time. And it wasn't all awful. You see, it wasn't all dreadful like I've made up in my head. I had some really, really fun times, and I wish I would have appreciated it more when it happened. So now I'm trying to appreciate the present, and obviously plan for a week, a few weeks, a month, but I'm not doing the big picture. This is where I want to be in 10 years time, because as we know, by the coronavirus, we don't know. Anything can happen at any given moment. And, I think maybe if any of us have learned anything, it is just appreciate what you have now. Go for the things that you want to do. Don't settle for things that you don't want in your life. The people that you want to be surrounded by in your life, if they're really negative and causing you to feel down and bad about yourself, kind of let them go, and just kind of do what makes me happy right now in this moment, and then I'll just see where it goes when it comes.
Enjoy the present moment. You mentioned about like a coronavirus and everything. It just made a chaos with our life, and all of the plan, goals and everything just all over the place for a lot of people struggling financially, mentally, physically. And obviously probably you didn't do much of a show and things like that during the lockdown, probably stuck at home. What do you used to do like being at home, and did you had any negative thoughts during that time, or you had like a support around you and people around you, you had a good time? How was it like during the lockdown?
Well, it was hard because I had all these plans. I mean, it was my 40th year, and me and my friends we'd planned all these things that we wanted to do. So when that didn't happen, it was very disheartening. But I kept myself busy because I started the voiceovers. Luckily, maybe I knew something was going to happen. So I started voiceovers toward the end of 2019, and I set up a little studio for myself. So I was getting auditions because I joined the agency before that. So I kept myself busy doing all of that. I got some work through that as well. And then Zoom was my friend during, I think probably friend to many during the pandemic. And I didn't even know about it before March 2020. But it's been a lifesaver. So I did a lot of networking. I've done a lot of networking internationally. I've made a lot of new friends and so I kept myself busy, watched a lot of Netflix, caught up on a lot of sci-fis. So
that's great. And like you didn't let the negativity catch you and ruin your like goals and dreams you had. You kept yourself busy and doing things and keep moving forward.
Well, I think that's probably not true. I did kind of get into a little place where things were a little bit dark, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe for like a month, I did get quite depressed. But then it came to a point where there was nothing else I could do, because it was no end. We didn't see an end to it at the time, so you just have to make the best of it. So it's fair to say that I did go through a little bit of a bit of mental transition. But then I guess I'm lucky. I just have friends and family to kind of not let me. So I guess that throughout all my life, I'm just lucky I had people around me to bring myself out of it and not let me get stuck in that place. Because I think if I didn't, I probably would have. So no man is an island. Can't do it yourself. And I am one of them. I could not do it myself.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like you said, like when you sometimes you have like a low time getting into depression for a month or so. Obviously, you got your circle, your family and friends, they lift you up, they take you out of it. What do you actually do yourself? Obviously, no one can control your emotion and whatever in your head. No one would know exactly what's going on and what you're thinking about, what you're worrying about. So how do you change your mindset and shift it from coming out from a depression or anxiety you have, recreate yourself again and go back on your feet?
What I always do is then when I get up, I give myself a goal for that day. So I don't think. So whether it is to go onto Zoom, get a new networking group together, or meet some new people, or read a book that I really want to read, and try and focus on something else apart from myself. When you just focus on yourself, a lot goes on in your head, and that's where the danger comes in. So if you focus even on somebody else's problems, something else, something maybe, although maybe that's not healthy, but something that you can be proud of that you've done that day, even if it's just a small thing. And I do like to laugh, so I'm quite a light-hearted person, so I do love comedy. I like watching Friends, even though I've watched it like a million times, I still laugh. So I do like watching funny things to laugh. That is one thing I do like.
Yeah, so everyone you need to find out what they're gonna enjoy doing. So instead of staying in the dark, get out of it, do something. And finding a new positive vibes on their life and keep moving forward. So I know we covered a lot of things about your experiences, the disability, your career-wise, your success. So those who are similar condition like yourself, I know you mentioned there is only 4 or 5 people had that condition like you have in UK, and probably those not as serious as your condition. Probably they lost their legs, their arms, wherever they're kind of disabled in a certain way.
Yeah.
For them to those call them as a disabled person, how they can be create more Amy like yourself, like a singer, business person, like a teacher, or something doing with their life, wherever they're passionate about, wherever they can love doing, rather than being in a wheelchair, rather than being in a bed, rather than being a victim of them, I'm a disabled person. How they can do something with their life and achieve something big with their life.
I think people nowadays are very lucky because they have social media and you have the internet. And I think it's a lot easier than when I was young, where you had no internet, we had no mobile phones. We just had the people that we knew of, or the people that knew of friends of friends. So I think nowadays is find a social group. There is always support. You just have to look for it and you shall find it, and put the thoughts out there. The half of things that have come to me is because I've actually vocalized what I want to do. So I decided to go into presenting because I was shy and I didn't like talking to strange people. So I thought, well, if I go into presenting, I'll get a microphone, I'll interview musicians, I'll start a YouTube channel so I can get over my fear of talking. So I put it out there. And some of my first audio interviews was from the jazz musicians from Ronnie Scott. So that was the kind of thing. And then again, I just said I was doing it. And then somehow Clint Eastwood's son came to Swansea, and somehow my friend knew the manager who knew Kyle Eastwood. So, Amy, do you want to do an interview? Oh, okay. Yes. So this is the thing. So it's just putting the thoughts out there and actually vocalizing what you want to do. And then you'll be surprised at the opportunities that come your way. And when you're ready, you can take the opportunity. If you're not ready, you're probably not going to see them. So you're going to have to be in the place, where you are ready to kind of see the opportunities. But because I've had this myself, that it is about thoughts. It starts with the thoughts in your head. And if you can just put out the thoughts that you want to, rather than the thoughts that you don't, you will see amazing things happen. And I live in Swansea, and I keep saying this because Swansea is this place that people, I haven't even heard of. They didn't know before, like 10 years ago. And yet we had some amazing people come here, and musicians, like we had party, was it the Big Weekend a few years ago, and I volunteered in the Grand Theatre, and I met a load of Radio 1 DJs, and they were doing Party in the Park, and I met Greg James and all these other people. So it's kind of become like this big place. At the time it was like, I'm not going to London, I can't go to America, so how am I going to do this? So people were coming to me. I wasn't going anywhere. So you have to think, how on earth did that happen? And it happened because I was just willing it to happen, because I and it did. So it's just proof that it can happen. It doesn't matter where you are. You don't need to be to London. You don't need to be in any city that you think you may need to be in. You can be in any city, in Manchester, in Salford, anywhere that people don't even know about, and good things can happen. So you just have to put the good thoughts out there. I am a firm believer in that.
Yeah, definitely. Like right now, internet made everything so easy. I'm from like in Manchester, and I run my business all over the world. So we got clients in the US, UK, and Canada, and so I haven't met them clients. So we're doing through the Zoom call, over the phone. Yes, everything. Even though, like yourself, we're doing the podcast. Like you in a different city, and I'm in a different city, and completely different country as well. So anything is possible. So it's just putting yourself out there and finding out like what you're passionate about, what you like, enjoy doing, and eventually things start to open up when you give some time. You're gonna have the network of people. You're gonna reach out to a lot of people. They're gonna reach out to you. So somehow opportunity will come up, and you're not gonna feel like you're victimized of the disabilities or the current situation you have. Yeah, that's great, Amy. So if you want to tell anything to our audience, you'd like to share any knowledge where they can be benefited, go ahead.
Okay, well, when I say things, it's because I've experienced them. I don't say things that I haven't been through, I haven't experienced. So through my own experience, I know that it's really good to surround yourself with positive people. I've been through this, especially in a male dominated industry. I mean, all creative stuff is quite male dominated. And so, I know what it's like to be surrounded by negative people. And I've been through that for quite some time. But it's only when you decide that you want to have a positive life, you will surround yourself with positive people who make you feel good. And I kind of emphasize this to everyone, that if you are friends with somebody, or if you're going out with somebody, or in a relationship with somebody who is putting you down, then that's not a relationship you want to be in. Doesn't matter how much you love them or whatever, like being around with them, kind of need to cut away. And I did that. I was on Facebook, and I had 5,000 friends and then I went from that to starting another page where I only obviously had my immediate friends. I only had 100 people on that page, and it was so difficult because I wasn't getting the attention that I was used to, because there was only 100 people. And so I was addicted to the likes and the comments, 500 likes on a photo, to getting like 5 or 6, so it can be quite hard, but it's worthwhile, because it makes you, it's a better feeling. And now I'm in a positive place. So I think that's one thing I would just urge people to do, and just surround yourself with positive people and nice people, so that your experiences can be positive rather than negative. And I just want to make this point, is that people say that things have to be hard. If it's not hard, then it's not worth having. And I just totally disagree. I really do, because I think if something is easy, it is amazing. And that is the way it's supposed to be. I think if something is meant to be, you will be 100% in tune. everything will go the way you want it to go. Even the obstacles you think are obstacles will be little obstacles that you can overcome. So I think not hard, don't think hard, kind of maybe replace easy with the word hard and kind of look at it like that. So.
Life goal should be easy. Why want to make it something difficult? Why want to choose something difficult? Because
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, life is not all about like famous and get some kind of status or money. It's all about like a friends, family, have like inner circle, who you are, what you actually love doing. And career is a part of your life. It doesn't have to be like I'm grinding to 30 years of my life, then I achieve something. Then you missed out 30 years of your life. You probably didn't give time to your friends and family members, yourself, and you didn't know who you actually was. You're trying to chase something like a rat race and keep on running in the same direction. And eventually you lost your life. There is no guarantee like we're going to live 60, 70 or 90 years old. It could be like my last day for me today. It could be yours. We have no clue. So why want to do something so hard to get something? And eventually there is no life guaranteed. When I started my career, everyone was like, oh, work hard for 5 years and 10 years, then you can be retired, then you have like a free time. I was like, okay. And I did that for a couple of years. Then I realized, what if I die now? Because I've been diagnosed with the IBS like 2019. I felt like I got bowel cancer and I was proper freaked out. And I thought this is the end. And then I realized that life, look, I'm only like 25 years old that time. If I die right now, then what am I chasing? So since then, I slowed down everything, like my business-wise and everything. I'm not worrying about too much. I didn't have like 100 million goals or anything like that. I just like, this is something I love doing. I'm going to carry on doing it anyway. I don't have to retire anymore. It doesn't matter how much I make, how much I don't make. It's all about, I'm going to keep doing what I want to do anyway. And the money's going to come and everything's fine. And I'm enjoying my life and can give my time to my family and people around me and myself and love doing. And since then, I'm a lot happier. Now I can sleep better. When I go to bed, within like 5 minutes, I go sleep without any worry, because I know what I need to do in that during the day. I just done it. And then my health is getting better. And yeah, life is more happier than what it used to be when I was chasing down. By age of 30, I'm going to be retired. I'm going to have X amount of money, X amount of status and everything. So yeah, like you mentioned, why life have to be so hard when you can find something too easy and go with it. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, that's amazing. Well done. That's really, really good.
Yeah. So Amy, thank you so much for coming to our show. We're running out of time. So if anyone wants to reach out to you or know more about you, how they can reach out? Do you have any website, social media? How can they find it?
Yep. So I have an official website at amysinha.com, and that's SINHA.com. And I'm on all the social media at Amy Sinha Voice, and including I think of social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and also TikTok. Put some stuff on TikTok. Trying to get into TikTok. So please do come say hi, and I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming to our show. I really appreciate it, and thank you. This needed lots of courage to share that kind of story you have and sharing with our audience. And hopefully they get benefited from it and do something with their life. So much appreciated, Amy. And thank you so much, guys. This is a wrap. And I'll see you on the next episode. So stay safe, stay healthy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.